It is time for another episode of the Tan and J-Man Show live on the ISC Sports Network. It is a beautiful September day. Football's in full swing. We have baseball in its final 2 weeks where there are a ton of pennant races going on. How are you doing tonight, T-Dog?
Is it basketball season yet?
I kind of want it to be basketball season.
No,
We're
Go
only
ahead.
about like a month away from our college basketball preview, believe it or not.
I'm totally joking because football season is my favorite time of the year. Football is my favorite sport to watch on television. The difference, I think, between football and other sports is you only get in college, you only get 12 games guaranteed. NFL, it's 17 games guaranteed, whereas baseball, college basketball, NBA, NHL, pretty much any other league, you get a ton. But with that said, it was a bad sports weekend for yours truly, and I am feeling a little deflated and defeated today.
Happens. Seems like it happens a lot.
It does happen a lot. It is brutal
Um,
sometimes, man.
yeah, you look forward to football season all off season, and then your team start 0-2, 1-2, whatever, and you don't feel too good about the way it's heading. But hey, a lot of football to be played, so you never know.
That's true. A lot of football to be played, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
That's
But
that's the one thing I like about baseball is, of course, there's 162, so about July is when you start getting a little okay. You got to start winning now, and if you do it, great. If you don't, you get to trade guys away.
that's true.
So it's kind of a slow burn, which is kind of nice.
And all kidding aside, I mean, yes, I do love college basketball, but I'm really not looking forward to this season because Purdue's expectations are going to be so high. I just plan to be miserable the whole time.
I like seasons where there's low expectations, kind of like it was for the Cubs this year. I even tweeted it a few days ago. I go, all I wanted coming into the year was the Cubs to be playing meaningful baseball in September. Why am I so pissed off?
I saw
Um,
that tweet.
so the expectations throughout the season starts rising once you start winning a little bit. But coming into a season with expectations, much like I was back in 2021, 2022 season with Illinois basketball, even heading into this year with the Dolphins a little bit, I didn't feel that pressure. But when you come in as a top five sort of team, it seems like the pressure's on you from game one, regardless of who you're playing.
Yeah, and in Purdue's case, they could go undefeated in the regular season, win the Big Ten regular season championship, win the Big Ten tournament, and I think a majority of the fan base wouldn't care because it's going to matter what they can do in the NCAA tournament. So
Yep.
worry about that bridge when time comes.
There's a lot of time between now and then, luckily.
I'm gonna need it. All off. Because I'm not a big baseball fan like yourself, and I think I've mentioned this on the podcast. So spring slash summer is kind of my chance to relax, and the blood pressure has been up the last few weeks since football season has been back. The hats have been tossed. The yelling has been had at the TV. We're back.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, I got a birdie or bogey
About to
question
ask
ready
that
for you.
Birdie Bogey for me.
I screwed the pooch last week and got a double bogey, so I'm four
Yep.
strokes behind. But we'll see if I can get one back on you tonight. It's an NBA question.
Oh boy.
It's pretty simple. You're either going to get, I will give, if you get one of these two, you get a par. Two, you get birdie. None, you get a bogey.
You're awfully generous now that your teams are losing.
Well, let's see if you can name the only two players in NBA history to own single season scoring records for two different NBA teams.
Single season scoring records. Two different NBA teams. Single season scoring records. Okay. All right. I'm not gonna get it right. I can tell you that much. NBA.
I don't know. You look pretty confident. So
I have one guess for one guy. But again, that feels almost too obvious. And maybe that's what you want me to think. Is it you think it's too obvious, so you don't choose that guy, but it's actually an answer. Okay, I'm overthinking it already. Birdie Bogey is brought to you by Arlington Public House. Arlington Public House has upscale cuisine and cocktails with a casual atmosphere located 703 Main Street, Rochester, Indiana. Over the weekend, they had their prime rib special, which looked absolutely delicious. Of course, every Monday is $2 whole smoked wings and $1 off domestic brewskis. Their salad of the month is a BLT salad, crispy romaine topped with fresh tomatoes, chopped wood smoked bacon, and homestyle croutons with our house-made dill ranch drizzled over the top. If I'm going to eat a salad, there's going to be a lot of bacon, tomatoes, and some ranch on it.
I was just going to say that sounds like a J-Man salad if I've ever heard of one.
The BLT, right up my alley. I don't even need bread with it, which that's pretty much what that is. So.
Do you make BLTs often?
Oh man, probably 2 or 3 times a month at least.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah, we bake BLT because they're easy. Pretty much, you just throw some bacon in the oven, chop up some tomatoes, and you're done. So
could even air fry the bacon if you wanted to.
Could do that. I have not tried air frying the bacon. We usually bake it, but yeah, we do BLTs a bunch. It seems like so.
Good deal. But yes, I will. We will circle back on the birdie or bogey question at the end of the pod. See if you go up a commanding 5-stroke lead, which that might be a Tan and J-Man show record. I don't know if either one of us has ever been up 5 strokes.
I think
on the other one.
I don't. 5 strokes is a lot. I think I was up 3 strokes heading into the final month last year, and came all the way back and tied it.
Yeah.
We suck.
for 2 guys who have been doing 357 consecutive weeks of a weekly podcast, we aren't very good at our trivia.
Yeah,
it's all right.
Which we usually are pretty good at trivia too. Just when the bright lights,
that darn recording button, that red button comes on,
my mind just goes blank.
Yeah, but why don't we start off this week's episode like we did last week with you giving everybody some Cubs report because things are getting tight.
Oh, they're things on the north side. They're not getting tight. They're over. Cubs have lost. Cubs had a 4-game lead in a wild card 10 games ago, and now they find themselves out of the playoffs. They're tied with the Marlins, but of course, because the Cubs couldn't beat any team that they were going up against. For these wild card spots, they do not own the tiebreaker. The only team they own the tiebreaker with is San Francisco Giants, and they're done as well. They don't own the tiebreaker against the Phillies, Diamondbacks, Marlins, Reds, Brewers. They could. I don't know if they could with the Brewers. Not that it matters. They're 6.5 games behind them with just about 10 games to play, 10, 11, 12 games to play. Things are getting ugly. The pitching staff's been okay. They cannot hit, save their life, and I think they're just worn down. David Ross refused to give anybody games off during their hot streak, which I completely understand because they got all the way back in the race, playing really good baseball. You're hesitant to do it, and now it's catching up with them. Bellinger stopped hitting. Dansby Swanson stopped hitting. Ian Happ hasn't hit. Mike Tauchman's been terrible here the past month or so. They're getting very little production from third base once again now that Jeimer Candelario is on the injured list. So things are not going well. They do come home this week for 6 against 2 teams that are not very good. Pirates have been playing some decent baseball, but still they're 10 games under 500. Then they play the Colorado Rockies, who are abhorrently bad, but just lost 2 or 3 to them. In Colorado. They can't even hit bad pitching at this point. They've faced, I think, every starting pitcher they faced this past week had an ERA over 5, and they were struggling to scratch across 2-3 runs. David Ross is terrible managing on the margins, which is what you need to do when your team's not good enough. They're not hitting, so they're going to be playing low-scoring games, yet Rossi decides to put one of his worst defensive lineups out there, Mike Tauchman in center field, because they got to play the guys that got you here. Well, now they're starting to choke, so now you need to get some new blood in there. Pete Crow Armstrong, talked about him a little bit last week, their top prospect, elite defensive center fielder. We already saw that in Colorado. He made some unbelievable catches that Tauchman doesn't even come close to catching. And on Saturday night, Talkman cost him 2 runs, missed cutoff man on one, and then a ball on the gap that Pete Crow Armstrong tracks down without even leaving his feet, drops in because Talkman's slow and he's not that good of a defensive outfielder, and he's not hitting. So Rossi's refusal to play the young guys, which has been a theme all year, he would be in favor of playing guys like Eric Hosmer, Trey Mancini over a guy like Matt Mervis. Now Mervis struggled when he came up. But that goes without saying. But then he would also give Tucker Barnhart at bats over Miguel Amaya. He fell in love with Nick Madrigal and Patrick Wisdom. Some of these guys shouldn't even be on the major league roster at this point. Ian Happ has hit third against right-handed pitching all season long, and he finally decided to make the move that everyone was clamoring for 4 months ago and move him to the leadoff spot because of his ability to take walks and get on base. But then he replaces him in the third hole with a guy in Chris Morrell who strikes out over 30% of the time. So your best hitter, Cody Bellinger, is hit fourth instead of in that top 3. And there's been countless times this year where Bellinger's the guy on deck in a close game in the ninth inning. He doesn't even get a plate appearance. So I was talking with my dad a little bit today about it. And if you were to guarantee me that David Ross would not be the manager next year, he would be fired. If they miss the playoffs, I think I would choose that option over getting that final wild card spot. Because this team's not built to make a run in postseason anyways. And I think they can be so much better next year if they just get a manager that's very good on the margins, like a Craig Counsell type sort of manager. But somehow they're still in it. The one positive of this is they did build up a good enough lead where if they did have a really rough 10, 12 games that they could survive it. But now this week's the time to show Major League Baseball what they're capable of. Not capable of, but what they're made of. It's nut up or shut up sort of time. They're on the north side, and they need to with if they go less than 5-1 this week, it's a disaster of a week, and I think they're absolutely done because next week they face Atlanta for 3 and then in Milwaukee for 3. So they need to have a little bit of a cushion heading into next week or they're absolutely done. This will actually be the J-Man's Book of Prediction of the Week. I don't think they do win 5 or 6 this week. I think they probably go around 500. And honestly, at this point, it feels like they're not going to win another game this year. They will win another game. But as of right now, it's not feeling good. Luckily, they have an off day today. So hopefully that can rejuvenate them and they can go on some sort of run, and it would feel miraculous to sneak in the playoffs at this point. But I do not think the Cubs go better than 500 this week. Hope I'm wrong, but it just feels like it's not going to happen. J-Man's Book of Prediction of the Week brought to you by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Travis Watchering. For life, home, auto, business, renters, workers' comp, and farm insurance, contact Travis 219-869. His email is travis.watchering@infb.com. The Baltimore Orioles clinched a playoff spot for the first time since 2016. They are 93-56, still in a hotly contested AL East race with the Tampa Bay Rays just 2 games behind them. And the Tampa Bay Rays announced today that they are going to be building a stadium here downtown St. Pete, Florida. That should be done by 2028. If the if the Athletics move to Vegas, I think we'll start hearing expansion talks because Rob Manfred has said they need the Tampa Bay and the Oakland situations with their stadiums resolved before they start talking expansion. So could see expansion talks kind of ramping up. AL West.
And didn't that new stadium in St. Pete, I read it's only got a whole 35,000?
Yeah.
So that fits them pretty good.
Which is smart. They could probably get away with 25,000 to be honest. But no one's going to do that. I can't imagine Tampa's made much money here the past 25 years they've been in existence, if they've made any sort of money at all, because they just don't. I'm sure the ownership loves when the Yankees come to town or Red Sox because they know the place is going to be more packed.
Or Cubs, even in early play.
Even the Cubs, yeah, which I'm trying to think the last time they've been there. I think they were there last year or the year before maybe. But yeah, Cubs travel pretty well. But AL West, Astros are up a game and a half on the Texas Rangers, who saw us that today. The Rangers have only converted 47% of save opportunities this year, which is porous. Seattle Mariners are right behind them. Behind the Texas Rangers, they're a game out of a wild card spot at the moment. They have not played very good baseball here in September, so that's a hotly contested race as well. The LA Dodgers have clinched the AL West once again, and they're doing it with different players, different pitching staff. It's just every single year is the same. The Twins' magic number is 6 in the Central, so they will be clinching maybe this week. And the Brewers' magic number is 7 in the NL Central. So the division races outside of the AL West and the AL East are pretty much over. It's just all about that wild card spot, and having that extra wild card spot really helps. With teams going for it, So I think the Cubs 2 years ago without it would have sold. The Reds probably would have sold. Marlins would have sold. Now they're all in it. So if I had a bet to see who would get that final wild card spot in the NL, I think it'd be the Marlins just because they're pitching so good. But hope I'm wrong. I think David Ross is back either way, so might as well root for them to get in the playoffs just to say they did it. But believe that is all I got for baseball this week. Let's see if I have anything in my X likes, excuse me. I do not. But it's gonna be baseball this week. Only a couple weeks left, so
only a couple weeks left. Down to crunch time we go.
Yes, sir.
Well, do you want to get educated real quick?
Let's do it.
All right, let's look at sporting events that have happened on September 18th. On this day in 1848, baseball ruled that the first baseman can tag the base for an out instead of the runner.
What year was this?
1848.
Oh, man.
Let's see here. On this day,
I'm surprised they weren't still doing soak outs or something.
I know. That's kind of what I thought it was going to be when I was starting to read it. Back on this day in 1909, the largest paid baseball attendance to that date was set with 35,409. That saw the A's beat the Tigers 2-0 in Detroit. On this day in 1938, the Bears beat the Packers 2-0.
That's a fun one.
Just an interesting score. Let's see. On this day, 1956, Mickey Mantle became the 8th player to hit 50 home runs in a season. On this day, 1963, the final Major League Baseball game at the Polo Grounds was played, as 1,752 people saw the Phillies defeat the Mets 5-1.
That's it? Man,
that's what it says here.
It's such a legendary stadium, too. I used to love playing that on, like, MVP Baseball and even MLB The Show.
On this day, 1966, Baltimore Colt quarterback Johnny Unitas threw 4 touchdown passes in a 38-23 win over the Vikings to surpass Y.A. Tittle as the NFL's career touchdown leader with 212. He finished his career with 290 touchdown passes. On this day, 1984, Tim Raines became the first player with 4 consecutive 70 stolen base seasons.
That's pretty good.
Some cricket thing in 1986. I wish I understood cricket so I could read that one. On this day, 1994, the first President's Cup was played at the Robert Trent Jones Golf Course. Davis Love III went undefeated as U.S. beat the international team 20-12. Which that'll be played next year. This is a Ryder Cup year.
When is the Ryder Cup?
It is, I think, next week. I think. Or it's either this week or next week. I think it's next week. On this day, 1996, Roger Clemens tied his own major league record with 20 strikeouts in a game, that is. A few other guys have done that as well.
Has it been done 3 times since? Randy Johnson, I believe, did it. I don't know if it was pre
Yes.
'96. Obviously, Kerry Wood, and then Max Scherzer did it a few years ago.
And that's going to do it for the On This Day, which is brought to you by, like it is every week, Mooney Woodcrafts. Mooney Woodcrafts is a veteran-owned and operated woodcraft shop based out of Texas with Indiana grassroots. They provide 100% hand-cut custom designs that fit your needs, and their pieces are a great addition to any home, office, or man cave. You can see some of their recently completed projects by visiting them on Instagram and on Facebook at Mooney Woodcrafts. And if you let them know the Tan and J-Man Show sent you, you get 15% off your first sign order. So take advantage, get your football signs in. That does a great job. You won't be disappointed. Like I said, you can put them in your home, in the living room, in your office, in your man cave, in your garage. Heck, get 4 of them, put them in one room each. So
Why not?
there you go. And if you do that, make sure you tell them the Tan and J-Man Show sent you so you get 15% off your order. All right, J-Man, what football do you want to start with? Do you want to start with college football tonight, or do you want to start with NFL?
Completely up to you.
I'm going to rant on either one, so I don't care.
I did not watch a single second of college football over the weekend, so why don't we start with that?
All right, college football. Interesting for a week 3 slate that looked pretty bare across the country as far as top 25 matchups. I thought it was still a pretty interesting weekend of college football. The headline game ended up being the Rocky Mountain Showdown between Colorado and Colorado State, which Colorado found a way somehow to survive a huge upset bid by the Colorado State Rams and win in overtime. But in the process, they lost their stud two-way player, Travis Hunter. Looks like he's going to be out about 3 weeks. It was a very dirty hit by Colorado State. Colorado State had no discipline throughout the whole game. Emotions were running high. And I got to give credit where credit's due for Colorado to go 98 yards down the field at the very end of the fourth quarter to tie that game and get the 2-point conversion on top of that to tie the game, take it into overtime. I'm not a big fan of rushing the field, even though I know they rushed the field just in the way they won the game. But you were 24.5-point favorites against what you call your little brother in the state, and you rushed the field. Not the greatest look, but we're going to have to put up with the Dion and the Colorado bandwagon talk all this week, but they are 21-point dogs as they head up to Autzen to take on the Oregon Ducks this week.
Yeah, I am looking forward to them losing a few games. Dion's going to have the media all over him, and they're the big noon kickoff once again. I believe this week, maybe next week.
I think it's the following week against USC.
Okay.
Because people on my Twitter were complaining. The Colorado people love the big noon spotlight, but they hate kicking off at 10 a.m.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Because it's a noon Eastern kickoff, which is kind of funny. But hey, it gets USC ready a little bit for next year.
Yep.
But I do not. I mean, we've both been on record. We don't like Colorado the way. I honestly have no problem with Dion or the team. It's just the constant media coverage, and then to have this whole sunglasses thing, which was a stupid move by Jay Norvell of Colorado State, and they ended up losing. But man, they played tough.
They probably should have won that game. I mean, they outplayed Colorado for a good majority of that game.
Yeah, and Colorado State has been a bad program for a while. Were they 3-9 last year? Not looking good this year either, and they hung right with them and should have won it. But I think as long as Dion's there, they're going to have this high profile. They're going to start getting game day. So again, they're going to start with the big noon kickoffs, just constant media attention, constant Twitter attention. Hey, and good for them. They haven't had eyeballs on them in 25 years. Surprising Cordell Stewart was there. So Dion's done a really good job selling his program. And for the first time, Colorado football is relevant. I know they had a fluke year, what was it, 5 years ago, where I think they played in the Pac-12 championship game. But now they are back in full force as far as I'm not going to call them a national power. I don't even know if they're any good yet, to be honest.
Right.
Because TCU's not looking that good. Nebraska's looking bad. But as far as selling the program, they're going to start getting recruits. It's a gorgeous area for one. I mean, have you been to Boulder?
Yes, was just out there last year. Yep.
I was thinking you were. So they're going to be around as long as Dion's there, and once Dion leaves, we won't have to hear about Colorado anymore.
Nope, you're right. But I'm looking forward to Oregon hanging about 50 on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then maybe the Sanders for Heisman talk will slow down a little bit too.
That's absurd.
Because he's not going to win it. I think Quinn Ewers would win it right now if it was the Heisman, but that's
not Caleb Williams.
He's up there too. I mean, all three of those guys are probably up in the running, but that's going to change dramatically here a month from now, 2 months from now. But yeah, that was a big headline. What other headlines around college football? Alabama did not look good at South Florida. They scraped by, but now today Nick Saban came out and said Jalen Milroe is the quarterback going forward. So another QB change.
He didn't even play on Saturday. They played 2 quarterbacks, and he wasn't even one of them.
I don't think he played. I don't know if he's played yet this year.
No, he started their first 2 games.
Oh, did he? I thought the other guy. Okay.
No, because they went to Buckner because Milroe played bad against Texas. Unless he was banged up or something.
I got you.
And they went to somebody else because Buckner was so bad. This is not the Alabama of a few years ago.
Oh no, they have not looked good. Georgia fought off a scare again at home against South Carolina, game that saw them down by 11 at one point. But all good teams and champion teams go through that once or twice a year. Game. Florida State did it against Boston College. Lucky they were playing Boston College at the time. Other ones, Tennessee went down to the swamp and got bitten by some gators, got smacked. Really good.
Won there since 2003.
Yeah, I know. It's been a long time, and they're like something stupid against Florida, like 2-18 in their last 20 matchups or something. Billy Napier, big win for Florida, and Florida, blessing in disguise, had 2 weeks to prepare for Tennessee because they played Utah, lost, and had a bye week last week. But Heupel's crew did not look good the other night. Joe Milton did not look good, so that probably takes Tennessee out of a lot of stuff. And honestly, the team in the East that might they won't beat Georgia for the East, but that might be the second best team right now, at least, is Missouri.
Yeah, they had a big win against Kansas State.
61-yard field goal for the win.
That's insane. And they rushed the field as well, and I believe they got fined $10,000 or $15,000.
Can't do that in SEC. Yep.
But Missouri's looking pretty good, and not many people thought they would, including us.
Oh, Barry Horowitz saving his job. So, other news around the country. I mean, like I said, there wasn't a ton. Notre Dame took care of business against Central Michigan ahead of their big matchup with Ohio State coming up this weekend, which is game day. Ohio State took care of business. I think they were only up 14-10 at one point in the second quarter against West Kentucky. Then by halftime, it was 42-10. So they took care of business there. Huge showdown in South Bend this weekend. Game days there, like I said. Pat McAfee's show, I believe, is going to go record from South Bend on Friday. Do you think this is the biggest Notre Dame home game since the Bush push?
No, I think they had a big one against Clemson a few years ago.
Well, 2020 would have been big, but nobody could really be there, even though Notre Dame had more than most opponents. I think it is. I mean, you got 2 teams ranked inside the top 10, 2 of the biggest fan bases in all of college football, 2 teams that don't play very often. This is a home and home last year and this year. I know as of a week ago, the cheapest ticket you could find was $500.
I believe it.
And I was surprised there was one that cheap, to be honest.
Clemson came in that one year. Was that 2020 when Lawrence was hurt and they had to play that?
That was 2020. Yep. Whose Oregon State Beavers are ranked about 16th right now.
Yeah. I wonder if old Clemson's head coach is
Dabo Sweeney. You forget it every week.
I don't know why I know what his name is wishing he had him because they have not looked good offensively, which they didn't look good with them offensively last year either. But you might be right. I think this is probably the most hyped Notre Dame game I can remember. Yeah. Of course, it's Ohio State. They're a perennial college football playoff contender anyway. And this might be Notre Dame's best team since their national championship runner-up season. It's the best quarterback they've had for sure.
Yeah.
So
two very civil fan bases, Jay, man. Not ignorant at all.
Yeah,
Arrogant, ignorant.
Two very, very calm, very, very level-headed fan bases there.
Yep. Elsewhere around the country, did you see the worst loss for in my opinion over the weekend?
I think it was probably Oklahoma State, wasn't it?
It was Oklahoma State just getting killed at home against Southern Alabama.
Did they get shut out?
No, they actually scored either 6 or 7. Yeah.
Yeah, that's bad. I wonder if it's starting to get late there for old Mike Gunn.
I think it is. I think he might be tapped out. And we speak of Matt Campbell all the time, but Iowa State loses to Ohio.
Yeah, Campbell screwed up not taking another, which we've been saying that for 2 years now, that he screwed up. They can't score points, which Nathan Scheelhaus is their offensive coordinator, and a lot of Illini fans wanted him to come down to Champaign. And they are not scoring points. I think he's a really good defensive mind because they don't give up many points either. But, yeah, he should have gone and taken a bigger job when he had a chance. Maybe he didn't have a chance, though. Maybe we think he was a hotter name because the media played him up than he actually was, and he didn't interview well or something.
Indiana fought hard at a neutral site in Lucas Oil against Jeff Braun Louisville Cardinals, but the Louisville Cardinals end up winning by a touchdown.
You probably hated watching that one, didn't you?
Yeah, I watched bits and pieces, and I was rooting for Louisville, but I just don't care for them. It's just weird. It's weird. It's a weird thing. I fight with myself. And look, honest to God, Josh, looking at Louisville's schedule, they could win 9 or 10 games, and I don't even think they're that good. I mean, they don't play Florida State, they don't play North Carolina, they don't play Duke.
Those are the 3 best teams in the
Or
ACC.
I don't even know if they play Clemson.
It's like they have to play one of those.
They do play Miami.
Miami's really good too.
Let me see here.
My king.
Okay, they do play Duke. They play Duke, but at home. But yeah, they don't play Clemson or North Carolina or Florida State.
That is awfully fortunate.
They do play Notre Dame in 2 weeks.
Nah, that'll be a whooping.
But well, here's their schedule: at NC State or Boston College at home this week. Then at NC State,
Loss.
Notre Dame at home.
Loss.
At Pittsburgh.
Loss.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
Pitt
Pitt?
sucks, but I don't think Louisville's that good.
Duke at home.
Loss.
Virginia Tech at home.
That's a win.
Virginia at home.
Oh, that's an easy win.
At Miami.
Loss.
And then Kentucky at home. So
toss up.
I don't know.
7,
Maybe not as easy as I thought, but yeah, that's about where I had them projected. But
yeah,
I don't know. Elsewhere around the Big Ten, Wisconsin survived kind of a scare. They were down 14-7 in third quarter, but when Georgia Southern throws 5 interceptions, that kind of helps you get out and win 35-14. Illinois hung around for a little bit against Penn State, but Penn State flexed their muscles. They are really, really good.
Five turnovers doesn't help there.
That doesn't help. Penn State won 30-13. Iowa put up 41 on Western Michigan. I will repeat. Iowa scored 41 points.
Congratulations.
Rutgers took care of a banged up, just not very good Virginia Tech team, 35-16. Duke took care of business over Northwestern, 38-14. North Carolina smacked Minnesota around, 31-13. Like I said,
West is terrible.
It is not good.
It's still wide open.
Ohio State won 63-10 over West Kentucky. I was way off thinking Michigan State could hang around with Washington as Washington beat them 41-7, and Mel Tucker got fired today.
Yeah, Penix is a sneaky Heisman candidate.
Yes, he is. Nebraska won 35-11 over Northern Illinois, and Michigan won 31-6 over Bowling Green. And Purdue lost their, I forgot. And Maryland won on Friday, 42-14 over Virginia, and Purdue lost to Syracuse 35-20. Once again, doesn't help when you turn the ball over 4 times and you put it on the ground 7.
Yikes!
They recovered 4 of them. 4 out of the 7, but they lost. They put it on the ground 7 times between quarterback and running back. They just and what was bad about their 4 turnovers, I believe at least 3, if not all 4, were in enemy territory. So they were moving the ball and then would just shoot themselves on the foot.
Is it rainy or anything?
Nope. Pretty nice night. It was just Hudson Card fumbled on a 4th and 1 time, which he was not going to get it. He was trying to pass and then had a scramble, and he was not going to get it anyways. Second time, he got absolutely killed. Somebody missed a block, and he just got killed. third one, he was trying to do a RPO, should have pulled it, or maybe he was trying to pull it, got knocked out, and then he threw an interception on a tipped ball. So Purdue was one of two teams, along with Penn State in the Big Ten, going into last week with no turnovers, won a 9 nationally. They came out with 4 of them. And they did not have an answer for Syracuse's quarterback Garrett Schrader on the ground, who set a opponent rushing record for a quarterback against Purdue for Purdue's whole school history. He had 25 carries for 195 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground.
Not great. I saw a few highlights. He was really good at selling the fake handoff.
Sure was.
Rolling out, doing. I mean, that's what won him the game.
But, sure was, and why Purdue wasn't playing a spy, I will not understand. Yeah. Don't know why Kevin King and Ryan Walters didn't at least try a spy. And to top it off, Purdue's arguably their best defender, Kydron Jenkins, got hurt and did not come out of the locker room after halftime. So don't know his status for this week. So that is not good because he is one of their better. Yeah, short week against Badgers Friday night in a game that Purdue has not beat Wisconsin overall since 2003 and has not beat them at home since 1997.
They're due.
And I was looking at some things today about that series. And, I mean, this is the only team in the Big Ten that has a longer winning streak over somebody is Ohio State over Indiana consecutively. Purdue's losing this series 29-52. And like I said, dating back to starting in 2004, the scores of this game have been 20-17, 31-20, 24-3, 37-0, 34-13, 62-17, 38-14, 41-10, 34-16, 24-7, 49-20, 17-9, 47-44 in triple overtime, 45-24, 30-13, and 35-24. So a lot of them not even close. Not even close. They are due, but it's one of those things. I will believe it when I see it with my own eyes. I mean, this is a Wisconsin team that I think is very gettable. They're a whole different style of offense than they normally. They're not just ground and pound. They're an air raid that likes to pass as well now. But it's one of those things I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah. So Ryan Walters' defense, of course, different system than Wisconsin.
Different talent when you have 3 top 75 guys too.
Different talent. And I mean, their defensive line, Johnny Newton for Illinois might be a top 10 pick by the time the NFL draft rolls around. Held Braylon Allen to, I think, 2 yards rushing last year, maybe 0 yards rushing on like 12 carries. So maybe they can replicate. I don't know.
Maybe we'll see. It's in Purdue hung in there. I mean, they had the ball numerous times in the fourth quarter, down 8. With a chance to go down and tie, and just couldn't get out of their own way. So we will see. It should be great environment. Environment was unbelievable for the primetime NBC game the other night. It was sold out. And I haven't seen where it's official sell for Friday night, but I have seen the student sections officially sold out. So I know Friday night games are hard for some people to come in attendance because of high school football. So yeah. But with that said, you beat me in the Big Ten Pick'em this week.
I have missed 3 games total this year. All 3 of them have been the Purdue game. So maybe that's a good sign for you because I am picking Wisconsin for 4 confidence points on Friday night.
Well, I'm right there with you. I have Wisconsin for 4. It's one of those, like I've been saying, I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, when you get hurt so many times, 20 straight years, just you got to wait and see. And a lot of people are probably like, you should have Wisconsin higher. Well, there's some other matchups that are pretty one-sided this week.
Yeah, high probability for some blowouts this week in the Big Ten. Rutgers at Michigan.
I got Michigan for 9.
I have Michigan for 9 as well. Rutgers is 3-0, and they have some decent wins as far as like Power 5 wins. I mean, they beat Virginia Tech.
Temple.
Temple, who is a group of 5 anyway, but usually pretty good one.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Michigan dominates. FAU at Illinois.
Casey Thompson, FAU's quarterback, who formerly was at Texas and Nebraska's out, tore his ACL, which sucks for him. I have the Illini for 7.
I have Illinois for 7 as well. So the first 3 we're on the same wavelength. Illinois' defense supposedly played much better. So maybe that's a turning point for him. But again, they turned it over 5 times. And Luke Altmaier had 4 interceptions. It's not going to get it done. So hopefully they can turn that around. But Defense is good enough to hang around. Maryland at Michigan State.
I picked this before I saw the Mel Tucker news. It doesn't matter either way. Maryland for 3.
I have Maryland for 2. Michigan State got destroyed.
They might not win another game.
They really might. They might just implode. Maryland against a bad Virginia team found themselves down 14-0, then ran a kickoff back for a touchdown, then just went scorched.
42 unanswered.
Yeah. So I think Maryland beats them. Louisiana Tech at Nebraska.
Nebraska for 8.
I have Nebraska for 5. They did not start that Jeff Sims. I forget the name of the quarterback.
Smart.
But yeah. Iowa at Penn State. That's probably the premier in Big Ten game on Saturday.
Yeah, that is the night game. I don't know what channel it's on because NBC, of course, has Notre Dame, Ohio State at night.
Oh, yeah.
Probably ABC, probably. No. ABC doesn't have the contract anymore with Big Ten.
They do. Well, I guess they do with Notre Dame, though, don't they?
NBC.
Yeah, but doesn't ESPN? No, I guess they don't, do they?
So is it pretty CBS or Fox? Probably. Here, I'll look it up real quick. Either way, I got Penn State for 2.
I have Penn State for 6. Iowa's not going to be able to score enough points.
It is on CBS. CBS night game.
No, it's a night game. 7 o'clock.
Yeah, it's a whiteout. Yep, 7:30.
I have Penn State for 6. Akron at Indiana.
This is also night game, 7:30. Indiana's 16-point favorite. I got Indiana for 6.
I have Indiana for 3. I think they beat them fairly handily, and I only put 3 on them because, again, high probability for blowouts this week. Minnesota at Northwestern.
Another night game. There's 4 7:30 Big Ten night games this Saturday night. I have Minnesota for 5.
I have Minnesota for 8. Northwestern's terrible. And the premier game of the day, Ohio State at Notre Dame.
Number 6 against number 9. College game day is going to be there. All the big shows. Ohio State's a 3.5-point favorite. I'm taking the Buckeyes, but only for 1 point.
Their favorite, huh? Give me Notre Dame for 1 point. So I think that's the only game we're different on.
Finally different on something. We usually 3 every week.
Yeah. Notre Dame for 1. I think that's going to be obviously that environment's going to be insane. Ohio State's offense the first 2 weeks looked bad. They looked good against Western Kentucky. It'd be interesting to see if they can do it against a really good defense in Notre Dame, or pretty solid defense anyway. But give me Notre Dame. 4-1. Other top 25 matchups. We have number 4 Florida State at Clemson.
Ooh, this should be a good one. Give me the Noles.
Florida State is 2-point favorites. Give me Florida State. I don't know if Clemson can score enough points. Colorado at Oregon.
Give me Oregon.
Yeah, give me Oregon. I hope they
come on, Ducks.
Number 22 UCLA at number 11 Utah. This slate is loaded this week.
I'll take the Utah home.
Yeah, give me Utah at home. Number 15 Ole Miss at number 13 Alabama.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin's already trying to stir the pot, saying he thinks that Alabama promoted some assistant to defense coordinator, and they just didn't officially announce it. I think Saban gets the better of them at home. Give me Alabama.
I do too. If they lose, it could be an ugly year there in Alabama. Number 14 Oregon State at number 21 Washington State. When's the last time these two were ranked playing each other?
Long time, and they're the two on the outside looking in with no conference home right now.
Yeah.
The only two. Give me the Beavers on the road.
Give me Washington State at home. Oregon State is favored by 2.5. Number 17 North Carolina at Pitt, our last game of the week.
Give me the Tar Heels. Drake May. I like the way he plays quarterback.
Give me North Carolina. Pittsburgh's terrible. 1-2. So.
Yeah, great slate this week compared to last week.
Very good. Very good. You want to talk some NFL here?
Of course.
3 winners, 3 losers.
You start this week, I start the winners. You start the losers. Let's see. I am going to take the Baltimore Ravens as my number 1 winner. Out to a 2-0 start, went into Cincinnati and took care of business. I mean, the game wavered between 3 and 10 points most of the day, but they never really trailed. And Ravens looking like one of the better teams in the league right now. Lamar played pretty well.
Give me the Seattle Seahawks going on the road, getting it done in a raucous environment there. Detroit had 10 days to prepare, and they had a letdown after that big win to open the year on Thursday night against the Chiefs. 37 points for the Seahawks. That was quite the performance for Geno and the boys.
Yeah, I thought when Detroit forced overtime, there was no way that Seattle was going to win that game, and they proved me wrong. So they couldn't afford to go 0-2, I don't think. So rarely do NFL teams make the playoffs starting 0-2. I've read a lot about that the past 24 hours. My next winner is the Atlanta Falcons.
Yep, they were
2-0 start for them. Got a good 1-point win over the Green Bay Packers at home, and there's a lot of Packer fans there in the crowd. And Desmond Ridder played pretty well, and that running back tandem is going to be scary for years.
Yeah, they're nasty. My second winner is the Washington Commanders. Now with Eric Bieniemy, they're averaging 30 points a game this year. Quite the change. Sam Howell looks like he might be a guy to build around there. I was talking about Eric Bieniemy.
I could hear you.
Heading there, okay. 30 points a game. Sam Howell looked pretty good. Came down from 18 down to find a way to win. Of course, that was absolutely pass interference on that 2-point conversion.
I'm surprised I have a voice today, to be honest.
Pretty impressive. Of course, their first game was against the Arizona Cardinals, but to go on the road to Denver, it's a tough place to play anyway, in a team that's becoming desperate already there in Denver, and to get it done.
Yeah, Sam Howell's first career road start, and he played pretty well. I mean, you look at Washington's roster; they have nothing flashy, really. You think you're just going to roll over them, and they could have just packed their bags up and went home down 18. They just kept clawing and fighting, and came out with a pretty impressive come-from-behind victory. Yeah. My last winner, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who would have thought they were going to start 2-0, and they look pretty good doing so. Is Baker Mayfield having a career resurgence a little bit? Maybe.
I
mean, it's 2 weeks, but
he's liking throwing the ball to Mike Evans. And credit Mike Evans, he wanted a new contract. He never really officially asked for a trade or anything. He's just shut his mouth and gone out there and played, and he's played really well. So. So credit him for doing that because a lot of guys hold out for a new contract and then demand a trade, and it just kind of gets ugly. But Evans just gone out there and played.
He's a touchdown machine. Machine.
He is. Yeah. My last winner is the Dallas Cowboys. We didn't. Well, I guess we did talk about them last week. In fantasy football this year, the leading points guy so far is Tyreek Hill. Second leading points guy is that Puka Nacua. The third leading point in fantasy football this year is the Dallas defense.
That's crazy.
Micah Parsons might be if not, I would say he's the best player in the NFL. He's kind of taken that reign from Aaron Donald. He is an absolute beast. They are going to be a force to be reckoned with there in the NFC, as much as I hate to say it.
And maybe I'm just not tuning into the national media as much right now, but I haven't heard a ton of talk about them, and they're off their great start, looking dominant, 2-0.
Yeah. They look great. Dak's holding on to the ball. I think Tony Pollard's a lot better than Ezekiel Elliott. CeeDee Lamb's turned into one of the better receivers in the NFL. So they look like a pretty good team. So I start with the losers then.
Yes, sir.
My number one loser, the entire NFC North, went 0-4 this past week. Green Bay blew a 12-point lead in the fourth quarter, lost to the Falcons. Justin Fields does not look like the guy there in Chicago. I saw they tried to run the same play 3 straight times.
Screen pass.
Drive. One was a penalty on Tampa Bay. The next was a penalty on them, and then the next was a pick six to end the game. The Vikings had a tough one in Philadelphia. That's kind of acceptable, but
turnovers killed them in the first half.
Yeah, but then the Lions losing at home after that big one. So the NFC North.
My first losers, the team right behind me, the Denver Broncos. Yeah. I've talked to a lot of my Bronco fans all offseason. We stressed you have to start off 2-0 at home against the Raiders and the Commanders. What did they do? Start off 0-2, losing both games by a combined 3 points. Just brutal since the start of 2002. since the start of 2022, they've been in 15 games that ended by a deficit of 8 points or less. In those 15, they are 4-11. Lead the league in that many games and in that many games lost.
The Nebraska Cornhuskers.
They just can't get out of their own way. I felt good and I knew better being up 21-3. I was having fun. The offense looked great for a quarter and a half, better than it had in years. And then after halftime, the wheels just fell off. It's pretty concerning. I think Sean Payton's a good coach. I still think he's the right guy for the job to get this thing turned around. But it's 2 weeks in a row, he and his staff haven't, at least from outside looking in, haven't really made halftime adjustments in the opposition do, and it shows in the second half. But I'm not placing this one as much on the offense. Offense scored 33 points at home. You should win that game. Vance Joseph's defense looks awful, and I'm afraid that going down to Miami might be a replicated game of the 2017 30-9 game.
Dolphins probably without Jalen Waddle, which would help.
That wouldn't hurt, but I don't know if it'll matter.
Yeah. My next loser, the LA Chargers.
Yep.
The exact thing people were concerned about with Justin Herbert at Oregon is starting to happen with the LA Chargers. He is the prototype. 6'6", big, athletic, rocket arm. The dude is so incredibly unclutch. He can't win in the fourth quarter. He has been one of the most unclutch quarterbacks. He had a chance to go down and win the game. They ended up having to settle for field goal and go to overtime. And then they get I believe they got the ball first, didn't they, in overtime?
Mm-hmm.
Had to punt it away. Something's off there because that offense should be better than they are. The defense should be better than they are. And I think Brandon Staley will be the first coach fired midseason this year.
I think that's their problem right there. I just don't think he's a very good head coach. I think he's a great coordinator, but I don't think he's a very good head coach.
Yep.
My next loser is the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yep.
What in the world? I know they started off bad last year, but not only that, now they're concerned about Joe Burrow's calf. If that turns to be something serious, this team is done in the water.
Yeah.
Done in the water. Joe
Burrow is a notorious slow starter. They are now 1-7 through the first 2 games of the year in his first 4 years. So, I mean, last year they started 0-3. So I don't know what it is. He didn't have a training camp at all, really. And he's looked pretty bad. A
good my guy Chuck Sizzle, Charlie Jones, punt return touchdown yesterday. That was pretty cool.
That was cool.
Yeah.
My last loser, Jacksonville Jaguars. I know they played the Kansas City Chiefs, but you want to be considered
make a statement. Make a statement.
Yes, and only give up 17 points to the Kansas City Chiefs, and you still lose. That was not a very impressive performance.
My last loser is the Arizona Cardinals. I know they're not very good, but they were up a bunch and just collapsed. You saw it coming, but they just collapsed against the Giants.
The Giants season saved a little bit.
Yeah. Daniel Jones was great in the second half. I'll give kudos where kudos is due. So,
yeah, that's it. That's it.
Are you ready to pick some games?
Let's do her.
All right, starting off with the Thursday night game. New York Giants at the San Francisco 49ers. Saquon Barkley is out 3 weeks with an ankle injury.
Yeah, Niners look like the best team in the NFC. Give me the Niners for 15.
I got the Niners for 15 as well. The Denver Broncos at the Miami Dolphins. This is always a fun one between us. I was actually looking up, Josh. These two teams don't play very often at all. They've only played 20 times in their history. Dolphins lead the series 12-7-1. Since I became a Bronco fan in 2009, they've only played 4 times. Broncos won in overtime 18-15 in 2011. They won in 2014 39-36. Lost the last time they played in Miami, which was back in 2017, 35-9. I said 39 earlier, 35-9. And won in the COVID season 2020, 20-13.
Yeah. Dolphins look good. They look like arguably the best team in the AFC so far, them in Baltimore. Even in what felt like a down performance from the offense, still scored 24 points against Bill Belichick last night. I have the Dolphins for 9.
I have the Dolphins for 11. Anything can happen in the NFL. The Broncos should come up fired up, but I just think the Dolphins have too much speed.
And the defense was very impressive last night and very encouraging effort, and the way they ran the ball. Dolphins, since they did the renovations to their stadium, have been very good at home, so hopefully that holds firm this week.
And it's their home opener, too, and the Broncos road opener, so yeah.
So it's a nooner, so noon Central
Yep.
Time game. So I don't know how Denver does on those, but
Usually not very good. It doesn't matter what time zone the last 6 years they're in, they don't play well.
I still have word association. We got to fly through these.
Yeah.
Titans at Browns.
I got the Titans for 6.
I have the Browns for 4. Falcons at Lions.
I got the Lions for 8.
I have the Lions for 6. Saints at Giants.
Saints are at Packers.
At Packers. I don't know how I screwed that up.
I got the Packers for 7.
Give me the Packers for 5. Chargers at Minnesota.
Got the Vikings for 2.
I have the Vikings for 1. New England at New York Jets.
I have the Jets for 3. I don't know why.
I have the Jets for 2, so I'm right there with you. Buffalo at Washington.
I got the Bills for 10.
I have the Bills for 13. Houston at Jacksonville.
I got the Jaguars for 13.
I have Jags for 14. Indianapolis at Baltimore.
Got the Ravens for 12.
I have Ravens for 12. Carolina at Seattle.
Seahawks for 9.
I have Seahawks for 10. Chicago at Kansas City.
Kansas City for 16.
Kansas City for 16. Dallas at Arizona.
Dallas for 14.
Dallas for 11. Pittsburgh at Vegas.
Steelers for 4.
I have Vegas for 3. Eagles at Bucks.
Bucks for 1.
I have Eagles for 8. Man, you're liking that Baker, right?
I don't know why.
Rams at the Cincinnati Bengals. Desperate Cincinnati.
I got the Cincinnati Bengals for 5.
I have the Bengals for 7. Word association here. Last time I did word association, I did the last offensive touchdown of the season for the AFC squads. Now I have the first offensive touchdown of the season for each AFC squad, starting with Raheem Mostert.
My boy, Purdue boy, was underutilized by Daryl Hazel. Has had a heck of a journey in the NFL. Yeah, glad to see him being 31, playing like a 25-year-old.
Yeah,
dude's fast.
Very happy the Dolphins did not sign Dalvin Cook or trade for Jonathan Taylor because I think Mostert's better than both. Austin Eckler.
One of the more underrated talents in the NFL. Chargers missed him desperately yesterday.
Hunter Henry.
Was good in Chargers. Now he's number 1 target for the Patriots.
Scored a touchdown last night when 6 offensive linemen were down the field.
Yeah, that was awful.
Stephon Diggs.
Top 5 wide receiver in the NFL.
Garrett Wilson.
Rising star in New York. Next big thing in New York.
J.K. Dobbins.
Can't stay healthy. It's awful.
Nico Collins.
Couldn't tell you much about him.
Houston Texans. That's the only thing I got for you. Pat Fryermuth.
Former Nittany Lion.
Deshaun Watson.
Horrible human being.
Chuck Sizzle.
Glad he made the team and glad he had a huge touchdown yesterday.
Moment, yeah.
Yep.
Derrick Henry.
Beast.
Calvin Ridley.
Dynamic.
Anthony Richardson.
We'll see what happens with concussion.
Yeah. That's 2 of them now.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice. I don't even remember who Rashee Rice plays for, to be honest.
I like Rice.
Jacoby Myers.
I got nothing right now. I'm blanking.
He scored 2 touchdowns against Denver week 1.
Oh, that's right. That's why I'm blanking. Yeah, well, anybody scores against Damari Mathis. So,
Lil Jordan Humphrey.
Yeah, one of the best names in Bronco history.
What a name. That'll do it for word association.
And that is the word association segment, which is brought to you by Performer Print 2 Promo Group. If you're looking for a trustworthy, dependable resource for your next trade show, company picnic, or sales meeting, Performer Print 2 Promo Group has over 50 years combined experience in promotional products and commercial print. They strive for fast and efficient response to all your print needs. You need to look no further. Let them be your one-source print and promotional company today by giving Barbara Van Weinsberg a call at 574-210-3815. Back to the Birdie or Bogey question, J-Man. Name the 2 guys in NBA history who... name the only 2 players in NBA history to own a single season scoring records for 2 different NBA teams.
My obvious guess was LeBron James.
No.
I knew it. You son of a gun. All right, to get a par. For 2 different teams. Oh man. Shaq.
Not Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, son of a gun. I already gave myself a bogey anyway.
Wilt Chamberlain.
I hate you.
And Vince Carter.
Oh, I want to punch you. Oh, that was so difficult. Vince wouldn't even been on my radar.
Was that? Yeah, it was Raptors then Nets for Vince.
Thanks for watching the Tana and Jamie Show. We'll be back at her next Monday with another episode. Have a fantastic week, everybody.